Hi everybody. This video is pretty much to kind of give you a little bit of a review on a controller I recently purchased. It's a Arturia Keylab 61 and how it interfaces with the organ software that's called VB3m, which is a pretty inexpensive Hammond clone type app that it's the same company that makes the sounds for the Crumar Mojo, which is a pretty nice Hammond clone. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the controller and how I got here and how I use it with the VB3m software. Hope you enjoy it. If you're looking for an inexpensive Hammond app that will run on a iPad, the VB3m, in my opinion, is excellent. It's like $15, so for that price, I don't think you can beat it. My particular iPad that I'm using is a 9th generation iPad. It's using software version 18.1.1. It's relatively old, I guess, but I've never had any issues with it. I use a camera adapter to plug the Arturia into the iPad, and it's powered by the iPad, and then I run directly out of the headphone jack. I run an 1/8" plug in there, cable, and goes right to my amplifier. Excuse me. So that's kind of how it's configured, and the setup works very well if you're kind of familiar with Hammond applications and so forth. Just to give you a little background, years ago I played several different bands, and I primarily in the beginning played a Hammond organ. And it was an old D organ, and very old, like made in the 1940s, I believe, maybe even late 30s, I don't know. But it was a very old organ, and we hauled that thing around with a Leslie for many years. So I was primarily a Hammond player, and over the years, carrying that thing around got to be a major pain, so I bought a Wurlitzer electric piano, a 200A, and used that. And then eventually the various clones came out, and the first clone I bought was a Roland VK7, which I loved it, and it sounded great, and I kept it for many, many years and eventually got rid of it. Excuse me. Later on I purchased another Roland that the organ was good on it, but the rest of the sounds, the pianos were kind of thin. Electric pianos weren't too bad, but it was it didn't quite satisfy me, so I got rid of it too. And excuse me, the point I was trying to make is I switched over to piano for many, many years, so I kind of got away from organ a little bit, and my primary instrument was piano. For piano, use a Privia PX360M. It's getting a little aged now, but I love it. The key bed, the 88 key bed, feels to me like a real piano, and the sounds are just for piano are great. Organ sounds are horrible. Electric piano is not too bad, but it's not anything much more than a good sounding piano. Excuse me. But I still kind of had that need for a good Hammond sound every now and then. So that's why I started looking for various options, and never thought I'd go to a iPad-driven kind of situation, but it's worked very well for me, and I'm very happy I did, because you can do, it's just amazing all the things you can do with just an iPad and a controller. So I've had various controllers over the last several years, everything from a Samson 61 graphite, or whatever they're called, to a cheaper, I can't remember the name of it now, but I went through various ones. The last one I had before I had this Arturia was a Novation Impulse 49, and they're pretty aged. Also, I think maybe 2010 is when they came out, maybe later than that, but they're fairly old. Maybe it was a little later in 2010, but in any case, they were around for quite a while. The reason I got that, though, what you'll find if you are using primarily B3 type apps and software, most of these controllers, number one, they don't have an expression input. They have sustain input, but they don't have expression. So that's kind of a requirement if you're a B3 player. Many of them don't have sliders or drawbars. Drawbars, for a Hammond, you have 9 harmonic drawbars that you use to mold your sound. And most of the controllers that are out there may have none at all, but they may only have 8, which I'm thinking, why wouldn't you put that one extra drawbar out there, or slider out there, so that organ players could utilize your controller for Hammond sounds. Likewise with sustain and expression inputs. They put sustain inputs on all of them, and very few expression or volume, if you want to call it that, inputs. So that's a requirement. So you get the drawbars that are a requirement, a sustain and expression input is a requirement, in my opinion. And you need various buttons and knobs and so forth, so you can control a lot of the parameters on that's synonymous with a Hammond B3, key click, percussion on and off, percussion, the two different percussion settings, the vibrato and chorus settings and so forth. So you need a lot of controls to be able to to adequately manipulate the software. So the Novation Impulse did a pretty good job. It had 9 drawbars, had an expression pedal input. It only had 49 keys, the one I bought, and the keys were a little bit, the key bed didn't feel bad, but it just kind of had a little bit of a cheap feel to it. And they were like a piano type key, it had the little ridge on it, which is sometimes a little hard to play if you're a Hammond player. But it did a pretty good job. Now, what I found out with the Impulse, though, it was kind of weird to program and so forth, but I managed to get the drawbars to, control the, there's sliders to control the drawbar settings and the volume to work, and all that. I managed to do all that, but it just never quite filled the need I had for a Hammond controller. So they made 61 key versions, but like I said, these things have been out for many, many years, so I could have bought a used one, but I didn't want to do that. So I started looking and doing a lot of research on the various controllers that are out there. And a lot of good controllers out there, but they lack that expression input, or they lack that 9th drawbar, or they lack this or that. And very few of them meet all the needs of someone who's playing Hammond type software. So after a lot of research, I settled on the Arturia Keylab 61. It is a workhorse. First of all, it's built like a tank. It's very substantial, kind of heavy. I mean, not too heavy, but you can tell it's built well. It has a metal bottom, has nice wood sides on it. It's just an awesome board. It has a sustain input, a expression input, and an auxiliary input that you can use for whatever. It has 9 drawbars or sliders. It has 9 knobs, encoders, whatever you want to call them. Has 8 buttons that you can use for various things. It's very easy to program. It's got a nice color display, and it's got 12 drum pads if you're into that. I don't use drum pads that much, but I never thought I'd spend like, you know, 500 plus for a controller. But in my opinion, this is well worth it. Whether you're using it for a Hammond sound or piano or whatever, I think this is well worth the money. And I think I paid $539 for it. So it, and for some reason the black ones cost more, but I was fine with the white one, and really do like it. So I'll give you a little tour of things. This is the VB3m software. You can see it's got all your drawbars. It has your vibrato on and off, vibrato upper and lower, on and off percussions. It's got all the typical, I don't want to go through every one, but it has all the typical you know, controls for a Hammond. It's got, you know, various effects. You have you know, different Leslies. You have an amplifier output or a simulator if you want that. I primarily use that Leslie there. It also has, you can store programs here. I think there's 32 different user presets you can store. Various other settings, MIDI settings, tunings, and so forth. And MIDI map, of course. And it's you have a keyboard as well. You can use if you like. But that's kind of what the VB3m software looks like if you're not familiar with it. There's another one I use. It's called King B. In my opinion, it's got a lot more parameters that you can tweak, but it doesn't sound as good as this VB3m. So let me give you a little tour of how I have things programmed. First of all, you come down here on the screen, and we've got percussion on and off, percussion second and third harmonic. I've got this programmed to the percussion volume, soft or normal, and this is for the vibrato on vibrato and chorus, which is right there. Okay, so you got 6 different settings on vibrato and chorus, and when I'm using this controller knob to control that, so that controls that. A really cool thing about the software is all I have to do is touch the controller, like just touch it, and it tells you the value and what the name of that controller is. So this is a 16 foot. That's a 16 foot drawbar. This next one is a 5 1/3, 8 foot. If you're familiar with Hammond, you know what I'm talking about. 4 foot and so forth. So these but all you have to do is just touch the controller. Oops, and it tells you what the value is and what the controller is. Same with these knobs here. So the way I have these knobs programmed is the first one is for overall volume. Second one is for overdrive. The third one is for bass. Fourth one's treble. Reverb is the 5th one. 6th one is balance. That's the balance for the Leslie. In other words, more horn or more rotor, however you like that. Distance for the mics to the Leslie, and key click, and then finally the vibrato chorus settings. So that's how I have it. That's how I have it set up. That controls the fast, stop, and slow of the Leslie. So that works very well. And the pedal, I have it. You can't see it, but I've got it down on the floor. Controls the swell. So and it really was fairly easy. I'm not a computer nerd, but it was fairly easy to program. And basically the back of it, like I said, you have auxiliary, expression, and sustain, MIDI in and out. You have a power, if you want to plug power into it. If your iPad is not, strong enough to power to power the controller, you can plug 12-volt power adapter in there. Has an on and off button, which a lot of controllers don't have. But that's kind of where things are at. And like I said, you have nice real wood ends on it. Decent screen. I mean, it's maybe three inches, but it's all color and various things you can do. I have the way I've got it set up for different programs. I have VB3m, King B, a generic button. This is some synth app. But anyway, that's how I've got it set up, and it was very easy to do. And if it wasn't easy to do, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So that's how that all works. As far as using the Arturia with other types of software like piano, electric piano, and so forth, I use Korg module a lot for a lot of my sounds and so forth. And the key bed is very responsive. It feels very solid. It feels like a good solid hardware synthesizer. So. I use, like I said, I have Ravenscroft for piano. I have, a couple of, I don't spend a lot of money on software. You really don't have to. There's a lot of iOS software out there that's relatively inexpensive. And, they sound great. The acoustic piano on this, like I said, I primarily use my PX360 Privia for piano stuff, but the piano stuff on with the Korg module app and this controller. So it sounds pretty good. So I'm very happy with this. I mean, it fits all my needs, and like I said, I was a little reluctant to spend that kind of money on a controller, but if you're thinking about that, and particularly if you're an organ player and you use it for different, there are various organ apps out there. There's, I primarily talked about VB3m, but there's King B, there's a Hammond one, there's several out there that are good, and I'm sure that those software programs would be just as easy to coordinate with your controller as a VB3m. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helped you a little bit, and enjoy. Thanks.